Would you teach me about would you teach me about peyote, Don Juan? Why would you like to undertake such a learning? I really would like to know about it. Is not just to want to know a good reason. No, you must search in your heart and find out why a young man like you wants to undertake such a task of learning. Why did you learn about it yourself, Don Juan? Why do you ask that? Maybe we both have the same reasons. I doubt that. I'm an Indian. We don't have the same paths. The only reason I have is that I want to learn about it, just to know. But I assure you, Don Juan, my intentions are not bad. I believe you. I've smoked you. I beg your pardon? It doesn't matter. I know your intentions. Do you mean you saw through me? You could put it that way. Will you teach me then? No. Is it because I'm not an Indian? No. It is because you don't know your heart. What is important is that you know exactly why you want to involve yourself. Learning about Mescalito is a most serious act. If you were an Indian, uh, if you were an Indian, your desire alone would be sufficient. Very few Indians have such desire. This is a passage from um, The Teachings of Don Juan by Carlos Castañeda. It's a fascinating book. I've read it. I read it 2 days ago in a day. And the last time I read it was a decade ago when I was in the middle of this journey of psychedelics and plant medicines and traveling the world with shamans. And there's just so many places I'm gonna take this. I also understand. I also like. I was listening to David Hannemar Hansen yesterday with David Sendra, and he talked about Jeff Bezos and like when Jeff Bezos came to onto their board, and he said like he didn't need the money, but having Jeff Bezos just like invest or buy a piece of their company, it gave them confidence. Like, yeah, they're on the right path. And for me as well, like with this book is like, it kind of deepens my understanding. It's just it's a good reminder, and it was and yeah, just like I also understand like the reason why I just published my first episode like 2 days ago, and 2 days later I'm like, okay, I'm gonna or three like yeah, something like within these days difference, and like I'm gonna publish my next episode right away, and it's because I want to keep the momentum actually, and I also realize like maybe along the way I'm gonna do some daily videos on learning and building and whatnot. I'm I feel like I'm just it's a really new beginning, and I'm like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to play with this, and I like this craft, and there's just so many ways I can make this better. But today I want to start like this because I want to keep the momentum going, and it's all for you, for the listener. And at the end of the day, I have to figure out how I can tell my story and how I can benefit you with my story. And so just this entry this passage that I just read to you. A few Indians have such a desire. It just the first memory is like I remember the first time I went to the rainforest. It was a blessing, and it was a blessing to be taught by a 106-year-old shaman, a village elder. And I remember also I had this fear of going there, and the way I went there is like I decided that okay, I'm gonna go to Brazil for a month, and then I remember I went to Rio Branco is the first place where they picked me up, and then in Rio Branco, the first place where they picked me up is like, okay, I went to this. He was a white guy from Brazil, but who had studied his whole life with shamans, with the Yawanawá tribe and with Hunikuin tribe, and I remember I went. He took me in for a night or two, and then the chief of the Yawanawá tribe arrived there. Then they served hape, and I took this hape, and it was powerful. And I felt like the presence of God or some benevolent, good force who protects me and guides me and wants the best for me was always there. It was amazing. And then I was sleeping in the room where he had all these like leopard, or no, jaguar and crocodile, snake skins. Like it was just, it was a special room. I was sleeping in a hammock. I remember seeing my dreams, and then through these dreams, I healed. That was just amazing. Okay, look, there's just one of the deepest passages in Don Juan. Okay, the exchanges. It takes a very long time to learn to be a proper crow. Carlos asks, "Can you tell me what the something else is, Don Juan? Perhaps you know. Perhaps by now you know it yourself. Maybe if you were not so afraid of becoming mad or losing your body, you would understand this marvelous secret. But perhaps you must wait until you lose your fear to understand what I mean. It takes a very long time to learn to be a proper crow. On the surface, Don Juan is talking about the practice of becoming a crow, one of the sorceries practices in the book. But almost nothing Don Juan says is one meaning. He really is saying you cannot merely imitate another form of being. You must transform your perception so completely that the transformation becomes natural. The crow is not just a bird; it represents another mode of awareness. And this in this book, as we're gonna go through it, the quote he's like Don Juan, this Yaqui Indian. He mentions it multiple times. He's like, "Yo, I have to teach you how to bring you back." Like you go into this, you open your consciousness, and your spirit is like it leaves this body. Maybe it sounds weird if I talk about this, but it's not like your consciousness leaves this body, and you can do freely what you want to. You can fly to places. There's another beautiful quote which says, like if I'm gonna find it, I'm gonna find it, and if not, I'm gonna come back to it. But it pretty much says like you can go to like in a second you can go to thousands of places as a sorcerer. But let's go through the quotes that I wrote into my book. Into my notes, and then I'm gonna go through the book as well. This is an old Kindle I have, which is I've had it for like 15 years maybe, and it sometimes is slow. Okay, but anyway, there's this main question that this Yaqui Indian keeps asking himself, and I think it's a good question. It's a good phrase on choosing your path or doing anything. It's this: does this path have a heart? The question is the only one a very old man asks. Does this path have a heart? All paths are the same. They lead nowhere. They are paths going through the bush or into the bush. In my own life, I could say I have traversed long paths, but I am not anywhere. Does this path have a heart? If it does, If it does, the path is good. If it doesn't, it is of no use. No use. Both paths lead nowhere, but one has a heart, the other doesn't. One makes for a joyful journey as long as you follow it. You are one with it. The other makes you curse your life. One makes you strong, the other weakens you. Yeah, I took another dog. The second dog, it definitely weakens me. I would have had like one dog was enough. There was a mistake, but maybe I'm a coward of for not fixing this mistake, just giving the second dog away. Yeah, and this just made me feel like even like this project, does this project have a heart? 100%. Even if no one would, I mean, I do realize it's pretty sad to say if no one's gonna listen to me and there's not gonna be any feedback. I think that would suck. If I'm just talking into the void, I think that would be super boring. Definitely hope to. I definitely hope to. Just a second. Okay. Another reason why I chose this book. Okay, maybe I'm jumping around. I kind of paused the video, and now I'm just for like a minute, and I'm back. But I'm gonna edit these together. It is what it is. I give myself the permission to. I don't want to say I want to put out slop, but I'm giving myself permission to get better at this craft. But yeah, just does this path have a heart? This project would definitely have, like, this project has heart. I enjoy it. Even by starting it, I already feel a change in the air, 100%. And I've really been living with, I'm really trying to live with the knowledge that I gained from the plants because I've been walking this path for 2 decades almost. And definitely people think I'm crazy. Um, but I think there's a really good um could do this better. In a sense that if I say this, like people think that I'm crazy. In this book, it says like, well, you kind of have to give it up of thinking you're gone mad or something. It's not. It's just pure awareness, just energy. There's this, yeah, and the reason why I really enjoyed this book, I think I have like I wouldn't have walked this path for 20 years, but I was because I was looking for answers. Why my life wasn't the way I wanted it to be, even though I was putting in so much effort. I was putting in effort and energy to the wrong places because that place was sucking me dry, and I didn't know it. I didn't know it better. Anyway, yeah, and I've been traveling with the shamans. I've been living with them in the rainforest, traveling around in Asia and Europe, and just in Estonia. It's a great experience. Okay, Derek Sivers. There's this quote that reminds me of you have everything needed for an extravagant journey that is your life. And for some reason, like Derek Sivers he's a great writer, and he's a great entrepreneur. He's a great person in general. He bootstrapped something to like a $20 million company a year, and then he kind of sold it, and he gave away most of his money to charity. But he says, like Derek wrote, what he had when he has a difficult problem, he writes an email to his mentors. Doesn't send them immediately. He explains the situation, options, and thinking. Then he asks himself, what would they say? He rewrites the email to address those imagined responses. Then he asks, what would they say now? After repeating this process, he often realizes he no longer needs to send the email because his answer has become obvious, as he puts it. Then, after this whole process, I realize I don't need to bother them because the answer is now clear. Truth is, I've already talked with my mentors in years. I've hardly talked with my mentors in years. None of them know they are my mentors, and one doesn't know I exist. In a way, you can. It just makes me think like we can go through our own thinking and we get the answers. We're just stuck in our ways, you know. And Derek Sivers' exercise definitely helps you work through stuff. A man goes to knowledge as he goes to war, wide awake, with fear, with respect, and with absolute assurance. Every worthwhile journey begins the same way, not with certainty, but with fear, respect, and absolute assurance. Every time you used to go to ayahuasca or any ceremony with plant medicines, I remember I'm like, there was always this kind of like, even when I already accepted it and it was at peace, I had this knowing like, after this, I'm going to be transformed again. Nothing's ever going to be the same. It always shifts and always changes. Now, the four enemies that Carlos Castañeda talks about, which I'm going to also come back to in this book, I do realize this whole thing could have been more fluent, I would say, more in flow and flowing, because right now I'm just like jumping around. But man, maybe I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to improve it. The four enemies. Fear. A man begins to learn because he is never fully satisfied. His first natural enemy is fear. Fear whispers, what if I fail? I'm not good enough. People will judge me. This is too risky. Don Juan says, if you run from fear, you've been defeated by your first enemy. The only way through is to keep going. 100%. Keep going. And maybe the only most important factor of input is just your effort and your work without expectations of an outcome. After pushing through fear, everything suddenly makes sense. You become confident. You think you've figured it all out. This is dangerous. You stop asking questions. You stop learning. Clarity is useful, but never never mistake it for complete understanding. Man, I've been, and even like, I won't. This is the conclusion of these four enemies is like you eventually understand you only gain complete, or you only overcome these for a moment, a brief moment in time, and then you have to work through this again. Everything fluctuates and transforms all the time. Power. Eventually, knowledge produces results. People listen. You gain influence, money, status, abilities. What is true? Many leaders put it, okay, power is safest in the hands of someone who doesn't need it 100%. Old age is the final enemy, not necessarily chronological, rather exhaustion, comfort, the temptation to stop. After decades of struggle, you think, I've done enough. Energy fades, curiosity fades. Their warrior wants to rest forever. Don Juan says no one truly defeats old age. The best you can do is keep learning and acting until the very end, 100%. In a world where death is the hunter, my friend, there is no time for regrets or doubts. There's only time for decisions. Wow. Fear. So from fear, you go to clarity, power, and old age. I think that's just huge. It's a good way to live life, and I'm really grateful to go through this book and to be reminded of these lessons. And we all of us forget. David Sanders says that. I say that we all, like, this repetition is the mother of all wisdom. The difference between looking and seeing. One of the recurring ideas in the book is you merely look, you do not see. The men of wisdom and knowledge from these indigenous cultures know very well that they look at their own union with nature, their life. They live differently life from the white man. Their knowledge is also secret to where they get their power and how to live life, connected to nature, to earth, to the universe. So this is also kind of like energy management and managing your energy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I guess okay, the unknown. The world is mysterious because we can never know it completely. Responsibility to seek freedom is the only driving force I know. And these are the notes I took before, but I'm gonna start going through these quotes I took from the book. How does Mescalito protect people? He advises. He answers the whatever questions you ask. 100%. And now that I read this book, like, and took these notes today, I'm like, dude, it would be really cool to have a ceremony again to kind of re-meet with the plant and ask questions about life. I also realized, like, I probably just uh, there's something in this Kindle, in these notes, where I have a connection or a highlight to it. But the main point is, like, I used to go to these ceremonies as well, and I would also ask, like, business questions, and maybe I didn't ask these questions well enough, but obviously I didn't get the answers. I mostly got answers from my regarding my, like, heart. And maybe my mind was just so cluttered that I had to go to these ceremonies so many times that I was just there, this learning and being in that energy. Okay. Did you know all this was happening before I told you about it? He vacillated for an instant before answering. No. I remembered. After you told me about it, the strange way you looked, you just suspected you were doing fine because you didn't seem scared. Did the dog really play with me, as they say? God damn it, it wasn't a dog. And that's Don Carlos Castañeda's first experience with Mescalito, with Peyote, and him meeting Peyote. Um, there's a note I took on this, which is interesting. Is like, it's at the end of the day, you understand it's all energy. It's all coming from somewhere. We've been gifted this life force, and I think this is like your levels of awareness and for people. They have comfort and where they're coming from. And what I'm trying to say with this is like with these plants, they're spirits, they're entities. And I think in the Bhagavad Gita is like just another book I should kind of like work through. In the Bhagavad Gita, they would say that it's all part of the Godhead. They're just lesser spirits and so on. And like Mescalito and ayahuasca, in a sense, is like they're just one side, one side of the coin of God, and it's one way to access them. And yeah, they're really like portals to the spirit world. Now, do you need them? You don't need them? I'm like, maybe you don't. But um, maybe you can approach them in a way like, they're like a crash course to public speaking. If you want to be a better public speaker, well, you go take your classes and courses and lessons. And like, well, if you want to become more aware of what this human condition is, get connected to your awareness, why not work with these plants and get that information? What does it mean to be chosen? What does it mean to be a chosen man? There are the secrets I know. I have secrets I won't be able to reveal to anyone unless I find my chosen man. The other night, when I saw you playing with Mescalito, it was clear to me you were that man. But you are not an Indian. How baffling. But what does that mean to me, Don Juan? What do I have to do? I made up my mind and I'm going to teach you the secrets that make up a lot of a man of knowledge. Do you mean the secrets of Mescalito? Yes, but those are the secrets. Those are not all the secrets I know. There are others of different kind which I would like to give to someone. I had a teacher myself, my benefactor, and I also became his chosen man upon performing a certain feat. He taught me all I know. And I guess by the certain feat is like, we're gonna go through it in the book later. He you have to become independent in the spirit world. You have to, like, if you use one of these plants, allies or teachers, you have to be able to manage your own spirit. Either come back and stay sane and work through all of this stuff. You dwell upon yourself too much. That's the trouble. And that produces terrible fatigue. But what else can you do, Don Juan? Seek and see the marvels all around you. You will get tired of looking at yourself alone, and that fatigue will make. Yeah, unfortunately, my Kindle is slow. That fatigue will make you deaf and blind to everything else. Oh, having this Kindle that's slow, it makes me think like, use the cheapest things, and once you decide that's your craft, buy the most expensive tools you can use for your craft. And I think like cannabis is definitely one. Or these plants, they help you get out of yourself, Take yourself seriously. At the end of the day, we're just, you can master the world, but at the end of the day, you're still going to end up in a casket, at the end of your life. So why not just enjoy yourself? An ally, he said, is a power a man can bring into his life to help him, advise him, and give him the strength necessary to perform acts, whether big or small, right or wrong. This ally is necessary to enhance a man's life, guide his acts, and further his knowledge. In fact, an ally is the indispensable aid to knowing. Don Juan said this with great conviction and force. He seemed to choose his words carefully. He repeated the following sentence 4 times. An ally will make you see and understand things about which no human being could possibly enlighten you. 100%. There's information when you go into the force of a power plant. Is like you just start. Like there's just information coming to me, and I'm like, this makes, and it really makes a lot of sense. You're like, dude, why didn't I see this before? And for me, this ally has been cannabis. And then he also talks about devil's weed and cannabis, like it's a feminine energy and it's always going to test you and entice you. And you're like, you got to be careful with that stuff. You have to know it, you know. Does Mescalito talk to the person? Yes, but not in words. It shows you. It shows you. Like, there's just, if I think of all the ceremonies I've had and all, like, I think it's all. I think all of these plants are they're just a part of God. They're just a part of God, and like it's just me and every one of us trying to get back to the source and stay connected to the source and live our reality to the best of our ability to live in the right way. These plants teach you, they guide you. Like, this is a good thing. This is not a good thing. This might be the right path. This speaks to your heart. This doesn't. And kind of feels like that. Yeah. Um, there's a way to overcome it, but not to avoid it. Whoever becomes the weed's ally must pay the price. There was an interesting note here I left as well. How can one overcome that effect? The devil's weed has four heads: the root, the stem, the leaves, the flowers, and the seeds. Each one of them is different, and whoever becomes her ally must learn about them in that order. The most important head is in the roots. The power of the devil's weed is conquered through the roots. The stem and leaves are the head that cures maladies. Properly used, this head is a gift to mankind. The third is in the flowers, and it is used to turn people crazy, or to make them obedient, or to kill them. And the man whose ally is the weed never intakes the flowers, nor does he intake the stem or leaves, for the matter, except in cases of his own illness. But the roots and the seeds are always intaken, especially the seeds. They are the fourth head and the devil's weed and the most powerful of the four. Interesting. It really resonates. In the Yawanawa culture as well, they tell the first man of knowledge about the first man of knowledge, and he went to the spirit world. He crossed the world, and then he came back, and he was his body faded away, and then the village people who found the body, he had like four different plants growing there. He had tobacco, which was used for healing. Then he had ayahuasca, they call it uni, which is used for divination. And then they had pepper, which was also used to kill. And then there was something fourth as well, but I don't remember it. Or maybe, I don't remember it exactly in their story. Yeah. I understand this could be done way better, but I'm already in the midst of it, and I wanna do it. I wanna finish this book and episode the way I can. Then there's also like how you keep the space of the plant and keep the energy fresh, and in the rainforest as well. Like there are these certain plants that grow, and they don't even tell you where they are because they want to keep the energy so pure and clean. That's deep, actually. It could cut and injure the plant. I had to get a stick that belonged to this area so that if I had to struck the root, the injury wouldn't have been as bad as one caused by a shovel or a foreign object. And it's all about energy and keeping things tight and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty cool. What are you going to do with the root now? I'm going to cut it. You must leave me. Go find another plant and wait until I call you. Do you want me to help you? You may help me only if I ask you. Yeah, and that's how like it's like yeah, really if you want to have your like a direct connection to the spirit world, like even with cannabis, I would really love to grow my own plant, but I don't want this illegal energy. It's just illegal. It's illegal. Mm. As he pounded, he sang an unintelligible chant, very softly and monotonously. When he had mashed the root into a soft pulp inside the bag, he placed it into a wooden basin. He placed the slab mortar and the pestle into the basin, filled it with water, and then he carried into the sun of a rectangular pig into sun of rectangular pigs through set against the back fence. I don't know what that means. He said that the root had to soak all night and he had to be left outside the house. It would be catch the night air. If tomorrow is a sunny day, hot day, it will be an excellent omen. Preparation of these plants matters. Yeah, this is like an experiment I made with the Kindle, and I'm not really satisfied with this. The weed is only used for power, he finally said in a dry, stern tone. The man who wants his vigor back, the young people who seek to endure fatigue and hunger, the man who wants to kill another man, a woman who wants to be in heat, they're all desires for power. Yep. Okay. This is just interesting. Interesting way to listen to her. Like, you definitely get power from these plants. 100%. Even like every time I smoke cannabis, I also feel like it gives me a certain energy. But unfortunately, it's not my plant and it's not pure energy. It makes me think maybe I don't need the plant at all. You see, the devil's weed is like that. She sneaks up on you like a woman. You are not even aware of it. All you care about is that she makes you feel good and powerful. The muscles swelling with vigor, the fists itching, the soles of the feet burning to run somebody down. When a man knows her, he really becomes full of creative cravings. My benefactor used to say that devil's weed keeps men who want power and gets rid of those who can't handle it. But power was more common than it was sought more avidly. Yeah, definitely. There's definitely like with these plants you get a certain power. It's spiritual power, and you can call me like maybe a crazy person, but I stand by my words. I've seen stuff that are beyond from this world. It's just wild. Um, Okay, then he talks about someone wanting to kill him. Can a pipe dislike you? He talks about his personal power. Um, hmm, yeah, he talks about his pipe, which he uses to smoke his ally, which is a mixture of like some plants and psilocybin mushrooms, and they would use tobacco in the rainforest as well. I would use it. It's like you use tobacco in a way that they like they share energy like with TP, and it's like a pipe. You serve it, and there's a kuripi, which is like a self. It's like it looks like this, and you're and you would use coca leaves, which would give you energy and clarity. Like with coca leaves, it would be really nice. I used to like when I was living in the rainforest, they would bring coca leaves from Colombia, and you would make them into a ball, and you would chew it, and yeah, it gave me more energy, more clarity of mind. Like these, this is just such a the world we live in nowadays with all the rules and especially Europe. I mean, it's just such a different. It's just a. It's so foreign to me. That's the truth. It's very. This life is super foreign to me. Yeah, this is a slow version. But if anyone is interested, you can listen to it and be patient. Are you angry at me? Don Juan asked when he returned. He seemed surprised at my question. No, I'm never angry at anybody. No human being can do anything important enough for that. You get angry at people when you feel that their acts are important. I don't feel that way any longer. What a huge lesson. In your own spirit, you become such a big person that you realize these people are just kids in their grown up bodies, and you cannot take them seriously and you cannot let them anger you. It's time to return the weed to earth. Um, there's a specific order in preparing things in prayer and ceremony, as well as like, so there's a certain order to life, to the universe, and 100%. And I even see it through my dog. Like, for example, I give one of my dogs food, and then like the other one's like, he's like, he doesn't accept it. He's like nods to the other dog, and then I give a snack to the other dog, and like I tried the first dog as well again. He's like, now I take the bite. So there's a certain order to the universe. This is definitely something that I should pursue as craft and like try to make the best thing possible. Right now, I guess I'm feeling like I want to gain momentum and just share the stuff that I've learned. To be a man of knowledge has no permanence. One is never a man of knowledge, not really. Rather, one becomes a man of knowledge for a very brief instant after defeating the four natural enemies. You must tell me, Don Juan, what kind of enemies are there? Okay, I told him before. It's like fear, clarity, power, and old age. And yeah, I really like this book. I understand this episode is not going to be the best. A man is defeated only when he no longer tries and abandons himself. Never abandon yourself. Keep on trying. Old age, okay. What does he teach? He teaches you to live properly. He talks about Mescalito, 100%. And all like, I guess I'm gonna listen to this podcast and I'm gonna think about it. But I'm kind of like sensing. I have like, here's another book I have. It's called Rework by David Heinemann Hansson and Jason Fried. And I already bought a book about cannabis, smoke signals, and I started reading it. And then I'm like, I want to read Zero to One. There's a lot of these books that I want to go through. And but I certainly feel a sense of excitement towards these specific like plant medicine, spirituality books, and even cannabis. Okay, so here's something interesting. He talks about Mescalito. He appears to them sometimes as a man, sometimes like us, or as a light. Does Mescalito ever change his permanent form with those who knew him well? No, not to my knowledge. I've seen Mescalito a couple of times for sure. And I've seen him in a form of Kayumari, which is the blue light deer spirit. I remember I've seen him in the rainforest. I've seen him after the rainforest. I've even seen him here in Estonia in my visions not long ago, like 2 months, 3 months ago. Fascinating. It really is fascinating. Okay. I really like this. I really like this. I like this book. I really like this book. Um, Don Juan advises to ask this spirit um, when you are under the force. Then he talks about singing your own songs and discovering your own songs. I feel like I have my own song, and it has to have heart. It's like yana wana yana hene yana wana yana iwana na watarundi pahakana ruapai yo ana yo yana hene. And this is a mixture of, like, the the Native American Indians, and the Indians from South America. Different people, different energies. Not everybody likes Mescalito, yet they all seek him with the idea of profiting without doing any work. Naturally, their encounters with him is always terrifying. 100%. It's not that you just, like, you go for a trip. If you want information, you have to give something in return. That's how the way the universe works. It's an exchange of energy. Your life has to be truthful. What is a truthful life? A life lived with deliberateness, good and strong life. The second portion of Devil's Weed is used for seeing. With it, a man can soar through the air to see what is going on at any place he chooses. Remote viewing, quantum physics. There was also a part in this book where he said, like, once you inhale the Devil's Weed, you can pretty much see, like, instantly to thousands of kilometers away. And it kind of feels like this because it's just, yeah, it kind of feels like it's all this. All of it is this spiritual plane, even though we're in this physical plane at the same time. If you complete the second step successfully, I can show you one more step. In the course of learning about Devil's Weed, I realized she was not for me. I did not pursue her path any further. And the same with me. I'm like, but I do feel like they invited me to become a medicine man, and my reply was no. I didn't understand it. And I'm like, yeah, I want to make money, and maybe it was a hard lesson to learn. Maybe I can still become a medicine man, even if I don't. Like I've said it before, I really don't. But maybe it's. I should let myself be with that. Sit with that question. But I did not pursue any of these plants anymore. Not peyote, not ayahuasca. Mushrooms are definitely something I don't care about at all. At all. I felt every time it gives me so much energy that it gives me more than I need. And cannabis is like, it's masculine energy, and cannabis is like, it gives me feminine energy. It is a way of grabbing onto things. For instance, when I was learning about the Devil's Weed, I was too eager. I grabbed onto things the way kids grab onto a candy. Devil's Weed is only one of a million paths. Anything is one of a million paths. Does this path have a heart? All paths are the same. They lead nowhere. They are paths going through the bush, into the bush. In my own life, I could say I've traversed long, long paths, but I'm not anywhere. Yeah, I talked to this about this before. I know, Dohan. Did my body fly? Did it take off like a bird? You always ask me questions I cannot answer. You flew. That is what the second portion of the Devil's Weed is for. As you take it more, you will learn how to fly perfectly. But he's obviously not talking about you like becoming a human bird and flapping away. It's like you're pretty much lying down, and in your consciousness you're flying, and it's not illusion; it's the truth. And this is it's been also really like, there's information that comes into my consciousness, and I'm like, I don't believe it's true. I don't take it seriously, but it should be, because it is true, and I've learned to see it. It's just I haven't learned to interpret it even though I know how to interpret it, I'm like, I don't take it seriously enough, but I should. That's how you learn to trust yourself. Mescalito is a protector because he talks to you and can guide your acts. The Mescalito teaches the right way to live, and you can see him because he is outside of you. The smoke, on the other hand, is an ally. It transforms you and gives you power without ever letting you see it. Does the smoke teach? Of course it teaches. Does it teaches Mescalito does? No, it does not teach as Mescalito does. It does not show the same things. different plants, different information. Maybe that's why I'm like just all over the place because I've been working with these. I worked with these plants for such a long time, and I never gave myself time to build a foundation and integrate. Now I'm getting better at it. That's how I feel. Um, I asked if there would be any harm in telling others about my experience here. I asked if there would be any harm in telling others about my experience. He replied that the only secrets never to be revealed were how to make the mixture, how to move around, and how to return. Everything else was okay to share. But they do even to me. I'm like they told me you should keep this a secret, and I didn't listen. I didn't know, and that's caused me pain, I guess, in a way. I insisted that I wanted to tell him all the details of the experience because it made no sense to me. I told him I needed his assistance to interpret what I had seen. He said I could do that by myself, that it was better for me to start thinking on my own. You can tell who are phonies by listening to people singing the Protector songs. Only the songs with soul are only the songs with soul are were taught by him. The others are copies of other men's songs. Everything is just still incomprehensible to me, Don Juan. It takes time really to see and understand what Mescalito means. You should think about this lesson until they become clear. You think there are two worlds for you, two paths, but there is only one. The Protector showed you with this unbelievable clarity. The only world available to you is the world of men, and that world you cannot choose to leave. You are a man. The Protector showed you the world of happiness, where there is no difference between things because there is no one there to ask about the difference. But that is not the world and to be a man is to be condemned to that world. You have the vanity to believe you live in two worlds, but that is only your vanity. There is but one single world for us. We are men. We must follow the world of men contentedly. I believe that was the lesson. This really resonates. We can be in the spirit world. But even in the spirit world, you can bring back wisdom, and you can live with that wisdom among men. Then he talks about how applying devil's weed. And sometimes it's so strong, it's so difficult to come back. And I made my personal note that when I mix these 6 plants together, it's like feels like I'm still coming back. The energy shift was so transformational, and I've been reckless with my space and energy, and I've been sharing freely, and I've kind of wasted wasted my life force. It's a great book. I love this book, and I know I could have done it better, but I just wanted to get it moving. Yeah. The path without heart is never enjoyable, and the next thing, the path without heart will turn against men and destroy them. It does not take much to die. Yeah, he guides him, but how do I come? You're very tired and want to sleep. That is all. Okay. Yeah. I do not feel like I have anything else to say. I feel like I'm sweating. Working through this and creating this is I don't know how to put it. It's like I'm literally sweating, and I guess I could have prepared myself much better than I did. But I'm gonna post this, and maybe I'm gonna come back to this one day. And maybe the biggest lesson of this all for me is like I really enjoyed this rereading this book, and I'm really excited about the cannabis book because there's so much stuff that it just helps me work through the stuff and give me answers to where your everyday culture just sees these things as drugs and it causes people to go mad, you know? Um, anyway, all the best. Much love.